what is going on here? Here we go. All right, so how to rock your 10-minute presentation. This is designed for when you're doing a quick, informative presentation. There's a different format for, when you're doing a sales pitch or you're meeting a customer and doing a longer presentation. This is a short presentation. So, and just some of the things that will help your presentation look a little bit better. I'm having some video problems too, Becky. Thank you.
Wow. I'm sorry.
So here's a little bit about me. I have 3 boys. They all graduated high school. 2 of them are in college. One's out. That cute little kid in the cougar shirt right here is my grandson, which is my oldest son. And then this is my wife for 30 years. All my boys are Eagle Scouts, and I'm Eagle Board chairman. I love to coach soccer. I play golf. I used to boat a lot, having problems with that now that the house burned down at Detroit Lake. That's another story. I'm a fisherman, a Starbucks snob, so I have to have Starbucks or Dutch Bros is okay. But I'm just one of those snobs that has to have good coffee. And then these 2 masks here are from the 2 colleges that 2 of my sons went to, and I spent $150,000 on those. So for those of you that have kids that are in college, you understand what I'm talking about. So just kind of to start off, who here can relate to something that is on the screen? Raise your hand. Say, come off mute, Kelly, and tell me.
I can relate to the adult children.
Who else?
Well, I can relate to the golf.
Yeah, there you go. You like any special golf courses you like to go to?
Up in Seattle, we play a few of them, but probably the most epic was down in Oregon. We did Bandon Dunes a couple years back, which was pretty cool. So, but I like all the courses around the Seattle area.
Oh, cool. Yeah. How about you, Alan? Anything you can relate to? And you're on mute, Alan. You can't hear you.
I was on mute. Sorry. The adult children, I've got a 19-year-old actually going on 20s, deciding to go back to school in January, and fishing. So, but I haven't been fishing in quite a while.
Man, you got to get out there. It's fun.
I know.
Yeah, especially Colorado, right?
Exactly.
So, when you're starting a presentation, especially if it's a long presentation, you want to make a connection with your audience. It's really hard to do that in a short presentation. So just something brief about yourself that, you can get people to know you, and just maybe ask them. So any of you like any of those things? So just kind of like it did. When you start your presentation for 10 minutes, if you have a handout or if you have pen and paper or something that people are going to need, make sure that they have it ahead of time. Say, hey, go get a pen and paper if you want to take some notes. I'm going to have some great things, to talk about today. So if I see your heads going down, I know that you're taking notes, and that's okay. Otherwise, email them the handout or put it in the chat box. If you are familiar with Zoom, there's a little button here that says File. If you click on that, you can download a document in there, and anybody can click on it in the chat and it will download to their computer automatically. So if you want to do a presentation where you want them to have some of the handouts ahead of time, put it in the chat and tell them to do that. Now, remember one thing about chat. If somebody comes in late, they will not see anything that was posted prior to them signing in. So you might, give them a couple minutes, and you might have to do it one more time at the end of the screen. Just say, hey, yeah, I got some handouts that I'll put in chat again because you came in late. So just let them know that that's there.
Yeah, make them feel bad that they came in late, right?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Where's Lynn?
I don't know.
So our agenda for this presentation today, because it is an hour presentation, we're going to have some questions and answers, and I'll leave some time for that. But what is networking? How people see us? Why people lose interest in our topics? Keeping our topics narrow, especially in a 10-minute presentation. I mean, you can't go in depth in 10 minutes. I can't go in depth in 10 minutes. Identify a problem that your client has had. Some do's and don'ts of a 10-minute presentation in networking. So anybody know who this fine gentleman is? Ivan Misner. And Becky knows him very well, don't you, Becky?
Sure.
Anybody else know them?
Actually, I knew his sister. I
So-
did.
And this is, he writes a book on a bunch of ideas and techniques on networking and what you should be doing in networking. And if you look at this, none of them say, none of it, nowhere does he say sell. Okay. And the next one, if you go to Webster Dictionary, again, it doesn't say sell. So if you're part of a networking organization, what you're trying to do is interact with others and develop professional relationships that will help grow your business. And what I mean by that is we have somebody from Vegas, we have somebody from Colorado here, we have a couple people from Portland and Seattle. We have an outreach and networking. So they might need something from me, and they might want a service. They call me and I say, hey, I got somebody up in Seattle that's closer to you that can handle that. So that's what networking is about. It's not about selling us. We're trying to build relationships. So when somebody calls you, they trust you to refer a customer to you because they know you'll take care of them just like they would. And so that's what networking is all about. And a lot of people miss, that mark. They try to sell us. So here's one of the things that's really important that, in any kind of presentation that you do, what we do, how we look, what we say, and how we say it. So we're going to go through some of these, and they're all going to be kind of, mixed in because they kind of go together, but we need to make sure that we are paying attention to this. So first thing, if you're going to do a presentation, there's Lynn.
Yeah.
If you're going to do a presentation, make sure your lighting is appropriate. So if I turn this off, I look really dark now. Turn it on. Make sure you have some kind of lighting. Make sure you get online ahead of time, see your background, know it works. It doesn't have some technical difficulties. And if it does, come up with an alternative solution, because you have to present, you need to look good, and people will judge you by how you look on the presentation. So common lighting issues, it's too dark, it's unexposed, just right. So, depending on windows, I have windows in my office. Sometimes I have to close the blinds. Sometimes I leave the blinds open. It just depends on the situation and the day, time of day when I'm doing a presentation. Right now I have them closed because there was a sunlight coming in so it wouldn't shine on my computer. Backgrounds. There's a lot of people that are doing presentations from home. None of you do that, right? And by the way, when I turn to look, I'm looking over here at a different camera that I have going on. So I have two screens going today. None of you do that, do you? Anybody do that? Lynn does that all the time, I know. So if you have to do a presentation from your office or your home, make sure that you have a background. You can blur that background out. Know the platform you're using. Zoom has a feature that you can blur the background out so they can't see all that stuff. They will see you, but everything else will be blurred out.
Kevin, if I can interrupt, I specifically positioned myself so you could see the ubiquitous water cooler and the ubiquitous ficus tree that's in my house.
Yes.
But I guess I still missed the mark.
No, if it looks organized as an office setting, I mean, mine is an artificial office setting. I don't do it because I have a bunch of books back on the shelf behind me and stuff. So put a background that's going to be, look good, and it's going to be presentable to what you're doing. So here's some other, things, people and backgrounds. And I've showed this before and talked about this. The person in the top left, we'll call him John Phillips, here again, how does he look? Does he look professional? Are you really going to trust this guy when he does a 10-minute presentation? I mean, to me, he looks like Chewbacca. He's wearing Chewbacca outfit. And then Brad, he's got Superman and Pirate and all the background stuff. So that's really annoying. And then Gordon over here, the camera angle is not correct. And so it looks like that he's floating above the office area. And then my favorite one down here is Mr. Star Trek, even though this is a Nike shirt and I know that logo very well. But a lot of people that have glasses are not aware of this problem right here, the glare of the computer. So, I kind of check that, and I got to make sure that I set the lighting so that the glare doesn't, bounce off the TV, because sometimes when you're doing a presentation, that glare can blind a person and it annoys a person. And you got to remember that you're trying to present something and get a point across. If all they're focused on is that glare in your glasses, what are they doing? Are they listening to you?
No.
Yeah. So, and so, we got to look at that a little bit. Oops, I went back too much. So the webcam, your screen builds trust with others. You want to make sure you're looking at it. And here's a really cool tool. I'm going to unshare this for a minute. Stop and share my screen. Watch this. If you're doing a presentation, you can see that I'm right here underneath the camera. You can actually drag yourself to position your picture right underneath the camera so that you're focusing on the camera and not looking over here at people. I have two computers, that's why I was looking off, but that's something that's important. I mean, you want to be looking at the camera because I want to look at you. I don't want to be looking over here at you because then it makes me look like I'm not focused on you. And you want to pay attention straight. So you can change those pictures and see, I can move anybody to where I want to them. I can put Becky up here, or I can put myself up there. Doesn't matter. So a little fun things there. Some quick tidbits. And then, reduce any background distractions. So, looking at yours, Kelly, that's not really a distraction. I like the plant. Maybe the water cooler, maybe turn your camera a little bit so it's more focused on the water cooler. And then don't forget to do this one thing. Number 4. What is that, people?
Smile.
Wow.
I can't tell you how many times I've been at a presentation, I see the person going like this, and it's like, yeah, well, this is what we're doing today. And I'm like, okay, really? So, your camera should be eye level. You want to make sure that it's right here in the eye. It's not too high and too low. We talk a lot about that in a bunch of different other presentations, but this is a favorite Becky pose right here. Told you I'd get you, Becky. Or they have a strange look on their face. I've seen that a few times where people are talking. I'm like, okay, what are you trying to tell me? So looking at this, the camera is too high. The first one, the camera is too low. Looking up your nostrils. We have a couple people in a presentation that I am a part of on a weekly basis. The camera is just sitting right there. And I mean, you can see right up their nose and all the hairs in their nose. And it's just like, yeah, thanks, guys. I really don't want to see that.
Thanks for
So
that
guys-
visual, Kevin.
Say what?
Especially with guys over 50.
Oh,
That's a
yeah.
real problem. So
But the other thing is, people don't realize this. Okay, yeah, I'm drinking and, holding up a can, I take a drink. If you're doing a presentation, absolutely not. You don't drink, you don't eat. And, it's just a common standard and courtesy that you don't do that, because I joked with everybody in one of my other presentations is I had a person online, they're part of the, background network, and they were just, listening, and they start choking on their food and they coughed and blew all their food onto the computer screen. Something I did not need to see. We don't realize how close we are. You guys like this picture of me? We see everything. And so remember, when you're presenting, everybody sees those things that you do. My favorite one is Penn and Teller. They were interviewing Penn and Teller, and Teller got up from his computer because he was excited about something. He walks back in the room and he's in underwear. And it's like, you got to remember that your camera is always on and it sees everything. So be cautious of that. Make sure you look good. So I asked Becky to let me sign in a few minutes early so I could just make sure everything was appropriate for when I did this presentation.
Kevin, based on some of your tips, I actually went on eBay and bought a adjustable tripod with a holder for my iPad or iPhone. So whatever I do, the adjusted on both sides, I can move it back all over the place to try to get a better angle, because it just wasn't cutting it. Trying to set it on a table or someplace, it just doesn't work. You've got to have something to adjust that makes you fit.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's not expensive.
It's not. And I don't know why people, oh, sorry guys. I had a little technical difficulty there. I don't know why people do that. It really surprises me that, that you don't take the time to make sure that that looks good. So when do people lose interest in your presentation? What are they usually telling you? Anybody?
A lot of times they're telling you they have a short attention span.
Yeah, I know. We have to does that. Drives me nuts.
So if
Not you, Lynn.
Yeah. Oh no, that was Lynn. Come on, don't kid. No, Lynn's great.
No,
So-
we all know who it is.
You know, it's hard because if you start losing attention, it makes you feel bad, and you got to realize that you're doing something wrong. And what is it that is causing that? They start working on their phone. They show up late, Lynn.
Sorry about that.
They start talking to other people in chat, and they don't turn on the camera. They have this tendency just to blot their camera out, so then you don't see them. And you're like, why is that going on? Why are they doing that? So remember, if those start happening, there is a reason that your presentation is not appealing to them. What is it? Now, somebody asked me, how do you know when they're talking to each other in chat? Well, if you save the chat, and everybody know how to save chat here? You don't
Yes.
know how? You go and click the 3 dots and it says save chat. It will print all private conversations. So it saves all the private conversations, even the ones that you didn't have. So if you said something bad about me as a speaker, guess what? I get to find out, and then I'm going to come after you. So, those are cues that you need to be aware. So here's some of the things that could be going on. Your slides are obnoxious. Everybody come off. Tell me which one of these PowerPoint presentations really just drive you crazy looking at it.
Well, last time I gave
Banana
you
one.
ones,
The
but the
banana.
one on the middle right is just kind of crazy above the banana.
Yep.
Yeah.
The bees. Yep.
I'm
Yeah.
not even sure what they're trying to do there.
Yeah,
Genevieve, Aaron, what about you two?
God,
I
all
don't
of them.
like the one with the
I agree. I think all of them.
bottom left.
yeah.
Bottom left. And a lot of times people will do this. They put these PowerPoint presentations together and they have all this information on it. And, here's another one that I've seen, and it's like, okay, can I really read that? So if you're doing a PowerPoint presentation, does anybody know what PowerPoint was designed for?
For an
Bullet
outline
points and
of your
pictures.
presentation, right?
Let's say that again.
For an outline of your presentation, just so people could find and follow on generally.
Correct. And so it's an outline. It's not to write a paragraph. It's not to write this here. It's you have a bullet point. Here's the bullet point. Then you talk about all the stuff that is supposed to be in that bullet point. If you are doing a presentation, you can have all those notes down in the bottom of your presentation where your participants can't see. So you can kind of refer to them and remind you of what you were going to talk about underneath each bullet point. But the bullet points are there to remind you of what you're doing. And one of the things that we talk about in the Dale Carnegie program a little bit is nobody knows if you forgot something. So, if you cover a point and you didn't cover all the areas in that point, nobody knows. They don't know what you're going to talk about. They don't know what you're going to say underneath those bullet points. But if I have all this on here, they sure in the heck know everything. Hey, you didn't talk about this underestimating the strategic complex that social media can have and lead them to insurance. And you're like, okay, let me come back to that. Now you're stopping your presentation, go back to that point and bring that up. And now you lose your spot on what you're doing. So bullet points are very powerful, and don't put more than 5 on a page. It shouldn't be more than 5. It should be bold enough to read. They say 20 plus. You don't want it like 12 or 14 because you can't read it. So use pictures. The mind has the ability to think in terms of pictures. The more exaggerated a picture, the easier it is to remember. If you want a powerful presentation for people to remember, put pictures in it. So when I say flag, what comes to mind? What does everybody see? Raise your hand. What does everybody see?
American flag.
American
me
flag?
too.
What?
Yeah.
Does anybody see the word FLAG?
No.
And so that's what you want to do. If you can put a bullet point on that is going to a picture instead of a bullet point that makes the same, impact, the picture is going to have more impact than the bullet point will. Another cue that people are not staying tuned into your presentation. And this is, like it says, 10 times worse in virtual meetings than in personal meetings, is you read the slide. And here's the funny thing about this, and people don't realize this, they don't think about this at all, is what am I saying to my audience? What am I saying?
You're saying you don't think they can read.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really need to make sure you understand what this is saying here. And so I got to read it to you and emphasize the right words.
And you also have no extra information. Like their expectation is there'll be nothing else besides what's on the slides.
Yep. And so it's, it just bores people to death. And so try to avoid that. I mean, yeah, there's a couple times where you got to say something, about one of the slides. I said, it's 10 times worse. That's in the middle of the slide. I didn't read the whole slide to you, did I? I just said, hey, look at this. I mean, it's straightforward. I'm falling asleep.
Kevin, I know a couple people that do this. They put too much information, they read from it. And I made sure to invite them to this webinar and they're not on. So next time I'll have to be more forceful because they do that every time they do a presentation.
So no, Lynn, you know what you do? You say, hey, this was a free webinar that was really going to benefit you. Now you got to reach out to Kevin and spend the $250 on how to do this right.
Good idea. Good idea. Because they're presenting to people. It's all about the business. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, all of us are presenting to people. How many of us here do a presentation online or talk to somebody in sales? I mean, these are tips that if you're doing a long presentation or small presentation, if you want to be more powerful in a sales presentation and, talking to a customer or client, hey, I have a different program for you that, we can look at and we can talk about. We'll talk about that later. But, the other focus thing here is keep your topic narrow. I have too many people that are in I Take Lead and in the chamber meeting. I had the other day a mortgage person do a presentation on mortgages. She talked about the VA, the FHA, the USDA, conventional first-time home buyers, USDA. And I was like, okay, you talked about 6 topics in 10 minutes. So you spent 25 seconds on each topic. And I learned what? Nothing. And so, I mean, so pick one area that your company solves. So identify, a problem that, one of your products solves and how it solves it for a client. How will your client benefit from it? Because, one of the things that you want to know is, we want to know in a networking group, how does your client, when I send you a client, how does my customer that I'm referring to you going to benefit from your service using it? How will the client feel after the problem is solved and how, know when to refer me to, somebody on this issue? So here's a better way of doing this. I'm going to flip over here. Tell us a story. Tell us a story about a customer that you had. This is what it was like, before. This is what happened after. I came along and they had my program and we got them back to this car picture within a day. Or my customer was living in a, 1-bedroom apartment, put a picture on there, and now they're standing in front of a house because they didn't think they could get into a house. What happens if they didn't use my product? They're this guy down here struggling. So, how will we know to refer somebody to you? And, what is your client? Now, there's another thing about client. What age is your client? What profession are they in? Where would we make? And I put some pictures in here and I, intentionally left the other 2 off. One of the things that we got to look at is who is your ideal client and put that picture into our head. So my ideal client is that person that is just struggling horribly online, and they're an independent person. They're probably a realtor. They're selling insurance or securities, financial investor, or credit card services, Lynn. And you usually run them into them at networking or chamber events because they're trying to build networking and build their stuff. And most of them are in middle class neighborhoods and live in those kind of things. So you're telling us who your ideal client is. That doesn't mean that we won't take anybody you refer to us. And Dr. Sean Harry, who's used to be a part of I Take Lead, talked of it this way. He said, if I'm looking for a car that I want to buy, and I tell everybody here that I would like a green Toyota Camry, and if you find one, let me know that's a used. And you see, one going down the street, and then you see another one, you see another one, you see another one. And all of a sudden you're just like, okay, I don't know what Kevin wants. I mean, he just said a Toyota Camry. He said green, possibly. But if I said, I'm looking for a Toyota Camry that's a hybrid, that's green, it's got a big O in the back window, go Ducks, has a sunroof, tinted windows, and has the nice fancy rims. You're driving down the road, you see a red one. It has the O in the back, it has the sunroof, it's a hybrid, it's got the big fancy rims, everything else I wanted. You're going to call me and say, Kevin, here is a red one. I don't know if you're interested, but it has everything else that you're looking for. Would you be, wanting to talk to them? Well, of course I would. So that's what we're trying to do, is put that picture in our heads. And I got to tell you, the other day, I wish he was on this call. He was going to be on here. He did a presentation. It was an insurance agent. And he said that, my ideal client is this mom and dad. They have 3 kids, and their kids are kind of getting into those teen years, and they're starting to do a lot of activities. They're boating, they're camping, they're out having fun and doing a lot of things in nature. Maybe they have a couple motorcycles because, they like to go up there, or maybe just dirt bikes, just bicycle dirt bikes. How many of you can visualize somebody that in that position? That's what we're talking about here. That's what we're trying to do, is draw that picture out of who do I know? And it was just amazing. Today, I was in another presentation. The gentleman's talking about virtual reality and some of the things he did. And it's like, dude, I know 17 people that need that. and we're just like, he put that visual in my mind of what they need to be doing with, visual marketing and virtual marketing. And I was just like, oh, wow, this is exactly what I've been trying to get across all these years. And you just gave me a better platform on how to do it. And I know a lot of people that we can connect with. So that's what you want. You want somebody to walk out of your presentation and say, yeah, hey, Kelly, I have 4 people for you that I know that would probably be a good fit for you. If you haven't done that, you didn't do your job right. Okay, you should at least get 1 or 2 people to say, yeah, I know somebody, maybe we can connect. They may or may not, but if they say maybe, they are thinking of somebody in their mind, and that gives you an opportunity to follow up with them and say, hey, who was that person that you were thinking of? Oh yeah, George, I talked to him, and he's kind of waiting off. Well, why don't you just introduce us via email and non-threatening, and send, I'll send an email and say, hey, if you have any questions or, things that you want to ask, I'll be glad to answer them, no pressure. Okay. That's telling that person that you're willing to just reach out to them and help them answer a couple of questions. You're not there to sell them yet. All right. And that's all you can do. If you can get them to refer you somebody, you've done your job. Any questions on that? I mean, because I want to cover that a little bit, and I want to make sure that that's a pretty, understandable, that we need to draw that picture in our mind.
I think that's important, Kevin. You're just trying to make an introduction. Too often in network, we feel we have to halfway close the sale for the person. That's not what it's about. You're looking for common areas of interest and possibly need, and then you make the introduction. And if you know the people from networking, they're not going to do a hard sale.
Right.
You talked about Sean Harry. He was famous for that. He'd call and say, I have a client. They have a few questions. And I told him you'd answer their questions and wouldn't try to sell them. I said, perfect.
So Lynn, I'm going to pick on you a little bit. What is your ideal client? How would you visualize somebody that uses your services?
My ideal client, the one I like the most, because there's a lot of differences. I love a controller or financial supervisor at a private college or a large school. And the reason I like them is they know the numbers. They are always willing to evaluate if they're in the right cycle. And if you can help them, they are extremely loyal.
They are. Hey, Lynn, I bet you all of you have college kids, or some of you has college kids. Are they going to a local university here or a community school? Yeah, well, that's the ideal customer that I'm looking for, is those community colleges or universities, because they're the ones who understand see what I'm doing there, Lynn?
Yep.
Now I'm going to the audience view. They probably don't know a controller, but they know kids who go to college, and they might be able to connect you with the person that can connect you to the right person.
Exactly.
So putting that picture in their mind of who would they relate to that would be a good source to get you to that person is another topic on this. So kind of think of that, real estate, maybe there's nobody here that, knows a lot of people that are buying, they're looking for a house, but you say, I'm looking for that person that has been in their home. It was their first home. They have brand new kids, and they just started growing their family, and now they're up to 3 or 4 kids, and that home just doesn't fit for them. that would be the person that should come talk to me, because we could help them find that home for the next part of their life, their family growth period. And they would be an ideal client because we can help show them how they can get the equity out of their house and get into a little bit bigger house with pretty close to the same payment, with the interest rates being what they are.
Right.
That's who I'm looking for. So that's what we're talking about on this, is how do we, build that picture so that people refer us business. So I already said about this, but we're going to go through this. Tell. Tell us a brief story about your client. Don't just sit here and say, my ideal client's this, kind of what I just did. How many of you know college kids, or, parents that have college kids are off at school, they're studying hard and they're paying that a lot of money out of tuition. Those college kids spend a lot of money on tuition, and somebody has to take care of that. And usually the parent gets out that $150,000 credit card and says, here you go. That's the person that I want to connect with, because they can tell me who to reach out to at the college to start talking about credit card services and lowering the fees, which may benefit your customer because it would lower their tuition. If they have less fees on credit cards, hey, they might be able to lower tuition. Don't hold your breath on it, but anyway.
Yeah.
So,
Now,
putting a story in there, making a story. Tell us how your client benefited from it. I actually got a client that, once my friend, his son told me who to reach out to at the university. I got into the university, we sat down, and we actually saved them over $20,000 a year in their credit card services. Man, that was amazing. And they were so excited about that. Now, if they didn't have my product, they would have been paying that $20,000. And, you think about that, 10 years, 20 years down the road, that 20,000's, 200,000, 400,000, and you get up to $1 million within 10, 15 years. So look how much money I saved them by using my services. So telling us how your customer would benefit from using your service is a great story. And this goes into what I said here, tell us a story about them. Tell us who they are. Make a picture of it. You don't have to use their picture. You say, hey, this is a typical couple, buying their first new home. And they're looking at this thinking, oh my gosh, they can't do it. That was them down here. We can't afford this new house. We sat down with them, showed them a plan, how they could budget it into their, current, situation. And now they're into this dream home, the home that they've always wanted. It's as simple as that. They're happy and they're excited. Who do you know that's struggling, living in an apartment, just doesn't believe that they can get into a home? Those are the people that I would like to sit down and just show them their opportunity and set them up with somebody who would know how to do the finances and get them into the house of their dream, and not put them in a home that's going to choke them. So tell us a story, put the situation together. How do they benefit from your product?
Evan, can I ask you a question? I know you're really good at this, and you've been training our members for years on this. As a financial advisor, and I know you were in that industry years ago, what kind of a picture could they paint, do you think?
Oh, tons of pictures. I mean, as a financial advisor, how many of you have struggled with these big firms where they sit there and all they talk to you about is the rate of return, the, daily cost averaging, and they don't explain it because they have all these legalese. Sometimes, people just don't get this. It's like the guy down here on the bottom right screen. They just don't get it. They can read the books and they don't understand it. Perfect example of that is my parents. My dad is an engineer. He has a master's degree. He's passed away but when he was eligible for the Social Security Medicare benefits, he got that book in the mail. He came to me and sat down and he said, son, I know you do financial advising and you understand Medicare. Can you explain this book to me? And I said, yep, I can. Take that book and put it in the fireplace and burn it and start a nice fire with it. Because all that does is it confuses people. What do you want, Dad, for insurance? How do you need to do it? So putting an example like that, how I help my dad, is the same thing as the financial service industry. There is so many products out there, so many ways to save money. Some people say you need to do this. Some people you need to do that. You want a financial advisor who's going to sit down with you, take the time to listen to your needs and figure out where you're end of the rainbow. One of my favorite commercials is the, I think it's something trade, they talk about this. So what do you want your future to be? And he says, I'm not ready to retire. I'm, thinking I want to do this and that. He said, so let's undo that and make that pushed out another 15 years. We don't need to retire in 10 to 15 years. This is your plan. So as a financial planner, that's what I need to be communicating. This is their plan. My ideal customer is somebody who wants me to listen. I'll ask the questions and I'll listen, and then help them get on the path that they want to be for their future. Not my future, not what my company's future thinks they should be, but their future.
Exactly. Thank you.
That's well put, Kevin, because that's actually what I do for a living. I'm a financial planner with Edward Jones.
Yeah, Edward Jones
Yeah.
is my agent, by the way.
Oh, good. Yeah, but no, that's well put. Thank you for reinforcing that.
Yeah, no, and in the mortgage industry, it's the same thing. There's so many products and programs out there. Who's going to take you through the different options and stuff? And a lot of people are talking to you about, hey, refinance or buying a new place.
Mhm.
What do you want to do?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
people sit here and say, well, I want to do this. I don't want that mortgage guy that's going to say, hey, rates are the best. You got 3.25, you got 3.5% down payment, you got this. I really don't care about that. You guys don't care about that. Your customers care about that. But you want a mortgage person who's going to come off and say, what I do is I sit down and look at their situation. Do they want to stay in this home and they just struggling with the payment? Because a lot of people don't know right now, with the rates being the way they are, they could refinance to a 20-year, still lower their payment down,
Mhm.
and cut 10 years off of the life of their loan.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
maybe they just want to lower it down because they're going into that college stage where they need that extra cash to help pay for those tuition and books. And so that's what I want to do. So that's what we're trying to do here with these pictures, is we want to present to the audience, which is the people we're networking with, why a customer would be a good fit for me. I'm not going to sit here and try and sell them. What I'm going to do is help them discover the plan that they need to get into a house, into financial security, into credit card services and saving money, to whatever it is. I mean, coaching, losing weight. I mean, one of the best things, and I can give Diane Falcone kudos. She talked about her programs and how she helps meal planning. And a lot of times she talked about other things, and I kind of coached her on this, and she talked about meal planning. She says, I help people figure out what is the proper foods that they should be eating to lose weight. Well, I'm an example of that. I've lost 35 pounds, and I've kept it off for 2 years now because I sat down, listened to her, built a food plan. She gave me some ideas and concepts. I put them together, and I still use them today, and I'm keeping the weight off. I feel good. I feel great. So.
Well, good.
All right. So other do's. Tell us how to refer someone to you. If you hear somebody talking about that, they're just really tired of, the apartment living, the neighbors jumping up and down on the upstairs, and,
Yes.
they're complaining that, every time they look at their budget, they just never going to be able to get in a home. That is somebody that we can sit down and start to plan with. And maybe it's as simple a thing as, we say, here's what you need to do. Start saving money. You guys have a financial advisor. Let me hook you up with a good financial advisor, and let's start putting an emergency plan together, money to put away towards a home, and what you can do so that in the next year, you can get into that house and get out of that apartment. How do you refer us? Okay. My pet peeve, and I'm, Becky knows this too. She's been there, is 10 minutes, guys. It's not 25 minutes. It's not 30 minutes. If you're doing a presentation, stick to the time that you said. Now, this is very important if you're doing a business presentation, if you're doing a networking presentation, or if you're doing a presentation for some other organization. If they give you 30 minutes, you go 30 minutes. You don't go 45. All right. And you got to include some time for questions and answers in there, because people want to ask questions. What are they going to ask? I don't know. Might be something I didn't cover. Okay, but I can answer it. I know I can answer it. Becky just asked me something. I didn't really want to, I wasn't covering that, but I, answered it. So that's what we do. So save time in your presentation for people to answer questions, and don't take up all that time, just talking and rambling on. We had that situation this morning with one of my groups. The person went 22 minutes and I had to cut him off finally. It's embarrassing because then it makes you look bad. Be organized and prepared. I like the little, books. I can't tell you how many people I've seen sitting here like reading their notes and looking up at the camera. Please don't do that.
Oh, especially online. Yeah.
Because it's just not, professional. Be organized, be prepared, have your PowerPoint presentation set up, know what you're going to do, what order you're going to do, practice it once, go through it. And actually what I did, it's right here. When I'm doing a bigger presentation, I have 2 computers on and I'll be seeing what you guys see. So that I know that what I'm showing you is what you're seeing. Because sometimes that happens as a glitch. So if you're doing a 30-minute or an hour presentation, always have a backup computer where you have the customer's view and your view, and you can see what they're seeing. So that's why you see me turn to the side here a couple of times, because I'm making sure that what you're seeing is what I'm seeing.
You did that after we saw your vacation slides from Yellowstone last year on that presentation.
Yay, there you go. And then the last point is make it fun. I mean, the last thing I want to hear is Mr. Insurance Agent. So yeah, we have auto insurance and liability insurance, which is an umbrella policy, and homeowners insurance. Our deductibles are $250, $500, and $700, and depending on the deductible you have, depends on the premium and the coverage. And the minimum coverage is $50,000, $50,000, and $100,000. And then we recommend that you do 3, 3, and 5. I mean, that's not fun. I'm not going to refer you anybody. I just going to blank out. And that's where you go back to this one is, okay, why are people not paying attention to my presentation? Because you're making it technical and we don't want to listen to it. So, here's, do not sell us, never sell us. And, because again, it's not about selling. It's about building that relationship and building what? Lynn, come on, starts with a T. TRUST. Come on, Lynn.
Oh,
He's not saying it. Oh, he's muted. Trust.
yeah, he's muted. Yeah.
Okay, I muted him technically.
I actually said it 2 or 3 times.
So, trust is what you're trying to do. If you can build trust with your networking groups, they'll refer you to other people, and people will want to do business with you, and they will, sit down with you. And if you take care of one of their customers and you do a really good job, financial planner, real estate agent, mortgage person, and they hear that all the time, what are the chances that they're going to come talking to you about their own personal stuff? Think about that. And a lot of people sit here and sell. I've had Mary Kay, I've had, people from the Legal Shield services, and all they do is sell. Everybody needs this. You guys need to do this. You need to talk to me about this. You need to do that. They don't get any business. They leave the, networking group, and they are wondering why they didn't get any business. I'm like, okay, well, you think we all should sell. I mean, I've had a couple of realtors in here, I've been doing this for 14 years, and yes, all they did is everybody needs to buy a home. So if any of you want to look, at buying a home right now, it'd be a good time to put your house on the market and sit down and talk to me about buying a new home. And they get 2 deals a year, and they wonder why they didn't get any more business, and they leave, and they're saying, "Oh, I got 2 deals." And I'm like, "Yeah, you made more money than most of the people did. So off those 2 deals." But it's not about selling us. It's about how can we be a benefit to your customers that and people and that you trust me enough to take care of them the same way you would. And that's what we got to remember on. I said, don't read on, sit on and read your notes. Don't talk about costs, discounts, deductibles. We talked about that. My favorite one here is don't talk more than one product.
Right. Yeah.
Don't talk and tell us how good you are. I'm so good. I'm the best thing since sliced bread. If you don't get me today, you're going to be sorry you did it. That sounds like my Percy car salesman video that I have. If you want me to play that, I can. Again, you're trying to build trust. And if you ramble on and say, I'm the best thing since sliced bread, nobody's going to listen to you. Do not use technical jargon because most of us don't understand. Financial planners. Okay, I'm going to pick on you guys. I know Edward Jones has these great presentations that you guys have to do, and there's compliance things on them. Great, do the compliance. Say, hey, I have to read this stuff because this is legalese. So, So, looking at my screen, what is one of the things on there that most confuses you about this? These topics over here? Ask the customer. ask the person in your presentation, let them, talk about it, and then explain it into terms that they understand. Oh, ROI. Yeah, everybody doesn't know what that is. That's rate on return, rate on return of your investment. So when you invest in the market or you invest in a product, let's just say you invest in a house, it grows in equity and makes, it goes up in appreciation, and you sell it, you got a return on your investment. You put $100,000 in, you sell it for 150,000, you made 50 grand. So that's what return on investment is. Make it simplicity, make it simple, things that they can understand. And then people will relate to that. I had a gentleman in one of my presentations here the other night in a class talks about RFIs, which is a manufacturing term for engineers. And he says, RFIs, you have 5 W's, 3 points that you got to cover, and then a please. And he's like, 3 elements in a please. I said, okay, what is all that? He says, it's like this. Here's the simple way. The 5 W's is why, what, where, when, and who. And he says, so grandma calls you and says she wants you to come over for Thanksgiving. And she says, bring a pie. And she says, strawberry pie. So one of the elements is, grandma, is there anybody that doesn't like strawberry pie? 2, I thought Uncle Joe has an allergy to strawberry pie. 3, maybe I should bring a grape pie because I know everybody likes my grape pie and nobody has an allergy to it. Please confirm with me which one you'd like. So that made it so simplistic.
And then you find out grandma hates Uncle Joe and wants to kill him with a strawberry.
Yeah, exactly. But
blame for it.
that's taking a technical, term that maybe your audience doesn't understand and making it simple. Financial planners, mortgage people do this a lot. They do the DTI, the LTV. Your typical customer doesn't know what those words are. So, hey, we can only loan 80% of the value of your house. That's what they call LTV. You hear that jargon, jargon a lot, but I'm not going to do that. So make sure you're using terms that everybody understands. So who is Dale Carnegie? What is Dale Carnegie Training? We've been in the industry since, 1912, October 23rd. So this year on October 23rd, we turned 108 years old. We have online courses. We have, as you see, the top 20 in learning portals, sales training, and leadership. We do leadership training, presentation training, sales training, customer services, people skills, organizational development. We can do them in person, online, or customized solutions. If you work for government agencies, we have special programs for them as well. Some of our customers. Now, everybody says, oh, those are big customers. I have 17 customers that have less than 3 employees that have done business with us, and they're growing their business. Just like you guys, I'm here to help my customers grow and become a Nike or a Google or a BlackRock and show them how to train and develop their people in a way that makes them relatable, trustworthy, and they get the future of business. So that's all I have to say. I'm going to open it to questions and answers. Ooh, look at that. Becky gave you 10 minutes. My information's up there. So if you want to reach out to me and talk to me more about some other things and concepts of how to present online, please do. We have a great selling platform that, talks about, how to be, sell online. And I mean, I just have fun with this, guys. And it's anywhere from you want to invest, $200 in yourself to $2,000. We can do it. It just depends on what you want. Questions?
Quick comment. I just have been really impressed with the shift Dale Carnegie has made to online. They've been very aggressive, efficient, and I think you've done a good job on it. And it's something, even if vaccine comes out and we return to some sort of normalcy, people are going to want to sell online. It's faster. You don't take up as much time. And one of the biggest things you talk about, Kevin, is being aware of how much time you spend honoring people's time. I've known so many people. We had a friend that Becky knows, called me once and said, a great first appointment. I was there for an hour and a half. And I said, you will never have a second appointment. You've lost the opportunity to tell that guy.
Yep.
You never got a call back. It's like, thank God we got that guy out the door.
Gene from Oregon.
It's Gene from Oregon.
Yeah, I know. I'm muting.
Who has a question out there? Lindsay or Grant? Genevieve?
This was really great, really informative, especially when I'm getting my business started. I've been doing some networking events recently, and the things that you pointed out, I'm already like, man, okay, I really have to adjust my process. And that's exciting. That's,
Mhm.
you know, just a new way of doing things. So yeah, good.
And we have franchises in all the states of the country. So if you want something basic, you know, let me know. Like I said, I did a presentation that a bunch of people attended, is how to present online. It was $129. It was an hour and a half, and then they got a half hour extra with me on how they can format some of the stuff they wanted. So, you know, and a lot of the franchises will do that for you. So
Awesome.
Kelly with the ficus in the background.
Yes, sir.
What, do you have any questions?
I don't have a question, but I have an observation, something that's worked well for me in my presentations when it comes to technical jargon or explaining things. I just try to also make it relevant to the person.
Yep.
I was working with a 27-year-old, just, you know, she just wants to buy a house, but she's not prepared, and she's not very financially literal. So I needed to explain to her about how our discount point fees don't fluctuate that much, which led to our contracts with our investors who determine the interest rate sheet. And the interest rate sheet is dependent upon how their investments are going, which led to the stock market. And at the end of it, I said, so like the stock market reacts on emotion. So if Coca-Cola does something that's really cool, or if Amazon does something that's really cool, everything's going to be great. The investors are going to feel good, and it's going to reflect in lower prices for your loan. If those two companies do something that really upsets the investor, it's going to go the other way. And she's like, oh, Amazon and Coca-Cola. Okay, I got it. I'm like, you know, I mean, it's a complicated.
Yep.
It's simple yet complicated. So,
Putting it in their terms is one of the key points that you got to do sometimes, because too many times we're so used to talking to people in our industry that, you know, the underwriters, the mortgage people,
Yeah.
they understand all that, making it simplistic. And I used to say, people say, oh, what's the interest rates? I said, I don't know. How much do you want to spend? They go, well, what do you mean? I said, you know, you can have any interest rate you want. It just depends on how much the bank's going to charge you up front for that interest rate.
Right.
So if you want to pay $100,000, we could probably get you 1%, you know, up front. If you only want to pay like $500, we'll get you like 4%. What do you want?
Exactly. Yeah. I just try to, you know, bounce a question back to them. When they ask me what my interest rates are today, I'm like, well, as you said, that depends. And also, as you said, no, you've got it. You already said it.
Grant.
Yeah.
What about you, Grant?
Well, I'm just trying to reflect on what you were saying about you're at a networking event, you're talking to people about your business. You're not talking costs, you're just kind of focusing on, say, one aspect that you figure this client is, or this person may be interested in. You're not treating them like a client, you're treating them like sort of a business partner referral, asking them, they're asking you. And then from that conversation, you're saying, okay, I talked about 529 planning because there's a lot of people here with college kids or with kids in their, you know, who are 10 or 11. We started talking about that. So then that person leaves thinking, hey, you know, I ran into this guy, Grant, that seems to know a lot about 529 plans. Is that sort of
Yeah, exactly.
what you're saying? And then I, of course, reciprocate. And if he's a real estate agent, I'm saying, you know, what part of town do you specialize in and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. And
Give
see,
and
you're
take.
painting that picture. You say, how many of you know, parents that have these kids that are in junior high and you want to go to college? Those are the ideal people with me. They usually have 2 or 3 kids in high school and junior high and elementary, and they haven't even thought about college. You know, here's that mass that I have, $150,000. It's just keep going up. So, you know, having that basic need and knowledge of how to save to get your kid into college is something that I do well. So if you know somebody who wants just some information about that, have them reach out to me.
Yeah, that makes sense. Know your crowd, basically.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying. Yeah.
Well,
okay.
Know your crowd, and it's just not, you're not selling. You're
True.
informing people about what you do and how you do it. And if I trust you, and we have, you know, one of the You guys can go look at it. It's called Why Trust is Dead. They did a study worldwide, 6 countries, okay, 1,600 people in each of those countries, and they asked them, some basic questions. And the number one thing that came out of there, 71% of the people will buy from somebody they trust rather than best price.
Yeah, I've heard that.
And
Okay.
that surprises a lot of people when you say
Yeah.
that.
Mhm.
And then you ask them how many salespeople have gained their trust. They say less than 33%.
Okay, interesting.
So trust is a key factor. If you come off knowledgeable, come off trustworthy, it doesn't matter what your rates are, what your fees are financially. They trust you. They'll do business with you.
And the one
Thank
thing,
you.
the one thing I want to reinforce with our members is for you to understand is that it's your job to teach the rest of us how to refer to you. And that's what that Kevin's talking about. When you're doing your 1-minute commercial, when you're doing your 10-minute presentation, online or in person, paint a picture for us. Teach us how to refer to you. And so that's what it all goes back to. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, that makes sense, Becky. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
A
And
quick
for the-
example of that is
And for
if
the young lady in Nevada, who do you know that, is tired of paying high, fees for their corporate property? And every time they turn around, they have a new fee. They add it on, use space. Why not have them look at what they could do to buy their own property?
There you go.
Because that's what I do is I help people get from leasing to owning, so they're collecting the money to pay for their own office.
There you go. There you
Yeah,
go.
see, you can have fun with that, and it's not. Who do you know that's in the building? So who's tired of being nickel and dime every time they have a new area that they have to expand the rent? And yeah, you're in a lease, but they know that at the end of that lease, it's going up 20%. So,
Very good.
well, hey, I didn't hear from Genevieve. Genevieve, can you say hi at least?
Hi, thank you so much. This was great. Sorry about that.
That's okay. What do you do, Genevieve?
I'm a real estate agent here in Seattle. I work the Seattle suburbs and greater metro Seattle as well. Yeah, I've been doing this for about 6 years, and given COVID and everything that's happening, I'm enjoying joining some networking groups, and this has been very useful in really just making the most of my new relationships that I'm making. So thank you.
So Genevieve, one of the kind of secrets for real estate agents is that you guys have what's called a virtual tour.
Yes.
If you want to learn how to make that 10 times better than any real estate agent out there, call my friend up in Seattle at our Seattle franchise, and he'll show you how to do that.
Okay.
really?
Feel free to email me and put me in contact. That'd be great.
Yeah, put your info in the chat, and I'll be glad to send it over to you.
Okay.
Anybody else? I'm done, unless you guys
Yeah.
want to sit and ask more questions.
Well, we're kind of out of time now. So
They
thank
can
you,
ask, I don't
Kevin.
care.
Oh, yeah.
We can pause the recording, though.
Oh, okay. You want me to pause it?
I don't care. Stop it. There we go.